today we're actually doing a podcast. I'm here with my guy Vic, here with Devin. Devin is going to be asking me some questions. The name of the podcast is Manifest in 3D, 4D, 5D. If this is the first time actually listening to this podcast, just a little bit about me. My name is Ken Morgan. Went through a bunch of things in life, was like broke as a joke. One day I was homeless. I was sleeping in my car, 3 o'clock in the morning, and a tow truck comes and hooks up to the bottom of my car, woke me up out of my sleep. Here it is. I'm thinking like there's a monster truck like backing up over the hood of my car. And all of a sudden my car is being raised while I'm inside of it. I had this thing that was on the windshield to protect people from seeing me. So I take the thing down and then I start honking the horn. And I'm still in the middle of freaking sleep, you guys. I'm still in the middle of sleep. And I start honking the horn. Two guys get out and they're like, Kenneth Morgan, your car's up for repo. And I'm like, but bro, this is like where I sleep. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll let you take your stuff out. And I'm like, such a nice guy. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, wait a minute, you can't tow the car with me in the freaking car. And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. We're going to let you get your stuff out. I'm like, bro, I'm not getting out the car. So he's like, all right, if that's how you want to play it. And then he puts the car down. And then 2 days later, he comes back to the same hotel that I was in front of. He puts a GPS on the car. And then a week later, he follows me to Chipotle. So I go in, Devin, I get this tofu stuff and I'm eating this stuff. Well, no, I'm not eating yet. I'm actually going to enjoy my meal and I'm walking outside of Chipotle and immediately I thought I was dreaming. I saw my car on the freaking tow truck and I was like, oh man, this is amazing. What's crazy is this, for those of you, and I've never shared this part of the story, immediately, and I would say within 3 seconds of me seeing my car on the tow truck, I knew even then that this was a situation that was going to work for me. Me growing up in the manifestation world, listening to people like Esther Hicks and Joe Dispenza and Bob Proctor and Neville Goddard, absolutely love him. I wanted my own thing. I wanted to be able to understand this and I wanted to be able to teach this to where someone could get it. So then what I did is I coined and came up with the 3D, 4D, 5D and not really came up with it. Nothing, you don't come up with anything. But I needed to be able to understand exactly how this worked. I needed to be able to understand why was I broke. Because what would happen to me is I would attract relationships and I would attract health, but I had the hardest time attracting money. So what I ended up doing is I would just walk up to strangers and I would say, hey, can I please change your life in 3 minutes? And I'm going to show you how all of life works in 3 minutes. And then they would say yes. Most of the time, one lady said, you're weird, please leave me alone. But for the most part, they would say yes. And then I would explain this thing. And that's how I came up with the 3D, 4D, 5D. So if this is your first time listening to me speak, can I share with them?
Yeah, please. I mean, the first question that we have right out the gate is what is the 3D, 4D, 5D, and how does it work?
Cool. So understand this. You are three people. You are a spirit. You possess a soul. You live in a body. You are a spirit. You possess a soul. You live in a body. If I wanted to see a reflection of my body, I would look in the mirror, right? So that's pretty simple. We're still there. If I wanted to see a reflection of my spirit, I would look in the Bible. So when the Bible says I'm holy, I'm set apart, I'm the righteousness of God in Christ, it's not talking about my soul, my personality. It's definitely not talking about this body. It's talking about my spirit. If I wanted to see a reflection of my soul, I would look at people. So whenever Vic is respecting me, he's reflecting back to me what's already inside my heart. Whenever I get the love or whenever I get the sarcasm from Devin, he's just reflecting back to me what's there, right? So what's crazy is that if somebody is like, oh my God, I think you're a bully. What they're really saying is that I'm a bully and I see it in you. If somebody's like, oh my God, that dude is a racist. What they're really saying is that I'm a racist and I see it reflected back to you. So understand that you are a spirit, you possess a soul, you live in a body. So now let's get into the dimensions. And there's more dimensions, but we're just going to focus on these three different dimensions. First dimension is the 3D. Your 3D dimension is this dimension, because every time you see anything, whenever you wake up, you can see it three different ways. I can see this can or this bottle or this water up and down, side to side, back and forth. They're not paying me money for that, so we're going to get that right on out the way. I can see it three different ways, up and down, side to side, back and forth. This is a dimension of problems. It's only a dimension of problems. And the problem that a lot of people have is that you're actually trying to fix your problem in this 3D dimension. Albert Einstein once said that you cannot receive a solution with the same conscious mind that created the problem. In the 3D, I have an issue with either time, space, or reality. I am confined. I'm restricted by either time, space, or reality. What does that mean, Ken? Let's say, for example, Devin and I want to go to California. If we're going to do that, I have to go home. Am I washing the shirt? And I'm not washing the shirt?
Not washing the shirt.
Not washing the shirt. So I'm going to go home, get the shirt, get my clothes, pack my bags, go to the airport, get on the plane, and then after time and space and matter, at some point in time, I'm going to end up in California, right? Understand that everything that I do in this 3D dimension is for one reason. It's only for a feeling. Why do I want to go to California? Because I believe the feeling of being in California is better than the feeling of being in Orlando. Why do I want to have something to eat? Because I feel like the feeling of having something in my stomach is better than the feeling of me being hungry. Why do I have sex? Because I feel like the feeling of having sex is better than the feeling of being horny, right? So if you can understand that everything in life is simply for a feeling. Now, that takes me to the 4D. The 4D is where every single solution is. Every single solution that you ever want in life is in the 4D. The 4D is your imagination if you're on the science end of it, or science would call the 4D your subconscious mind. Theology would call the 4D Christ, your Christ consciousness, or Jesus. I don't care which one you do, they both are the same. The way that I use the 4D is I'm going to go into the 4D, I'm going to go into my imagination, I'm going to imagine something as if I already have it, and as I am imagining this thing as if I already have it, the thing that I am imagining must show up in the 3D. The 3D ends up being a reflection of the 4D. Let's go to the 5D. The 5D is going to be your superconscious, if you want a scientific term. The 5D is going to be God the Creator, if you are more on the theology end. Why? Before God was anything, before he was love, before he was omnipresent, before he was all of those things, he introduces us in the Bible as the Creator. First verse in the Bible, in the beginning, God created. What's the benefit of the 5D? I go to the 5D if I want to increase my consciousness. So let's say, for example, I'm making $100,000 a year, but I got $1 million vision. It doesn't matter how much I want the $1 million, I'll never get it, because the only thing that I can handle, the only thing that I'm aware of is the $100,000. And when I go into the 5D and I'm just in the presence of God, if I'm just meditating, that increases my consciousness. As it increases my consciousness, I'm then able to be aware more and more and more and more. And then eventually I get to the point where I take this $100,000 awareness and I turn it into $1 million awareness, and I continue to move, which is why you never stop wanting, you never stop desiring the amount of money, if you would, that comes in. None of it is ever enough, if you will, because we're always increasing in consciousness.
There's a lot of different pieces to that too. It's almost like this physical, emotional, and then, this third realm of consciousness that actually gives you a really good platform to stand on mentally, in your own headspace in order to develop a mindset. So a lot of that you talked about, like a path forward and trying to create, a lifestyle for yourself out of that. So what would you say to people that want to live their dream lifestyle? What is it for them that kind of takes them to that next level?
So the first thing that I would do in 4 easy steps, the first thing I would do is I would write it down. So when you're looking at your dream life, give me a certain amount of money that we can, for the year.
For the year?
Yes.
Let's say $250,000.
Okay, cool. So we'll use $250,000. So the first thing that you're going to do, and this is a 2D thing, you're going to write down the thing that you want as if you already have it. So for those of you that are taking notes, I am so happy and grateful now that I have $250,000 of unexpected income. That's going to be a 2D thing. In the 3D, you're just going to be thankful for the problem. So you're going to be thankful for the fact that you don't have the $250,000. Why? Because the desire for the $250,000 is God's way of letting you know that you're about to manifest the $250,000. There's a verse in the Bible, I think it's Jeremiah 29:11, where God says, I have given you the desires of your heart. Maybe that's the wrong verse, but maybe that's the wrong address. But I have given you the desires of your heart. So the very fact that you have this desire is his way of letting you know that the thing is on its way. You think that that verse reads, I've given you the desires of your heart, meaning Vic has a desire for $250,000, and then God says, oh, okay, now I'm gonna give you the $250,000. That it doesn't work that way. The very desire that you have is his way of letting you know that he gave you the desire. If you couldn't have the thing, you wouldn't actually have the desire. So in the 3D, you don't want to push back on the problem. We can do it with health. We can do this with relationships. So let's say, for example, I go to the doctor and the doctor says you have cancer. Yes, that's amazing. Because now with that issue, with that desire being there, I already know that I'm about to manifest a natural state of health. So in the 3D, we're going to be thankful for the problem. In the 4D, we're going to imagine the thing that we want as if we already have it. And for those of you that are taking notes, or if you're seeing this on a clip or whatever, make sure that you catch this. Everything in life is vibration. Law of vibration states that everything is always vibrating, something like that, right? What that means is this. If $250,000 is on this vibration, and I go and I use my imagination and I'm only coming up to this vibration, the $250,000 will never come into my life. So the first thing that you have to do is go to the vibration of the thing that you want. Imagine it as if you already have it, and you're going to stay there until you feel this energy leave you. And as that energy leaves you, when that energy leaves you, you should no longer have a desire for the $250,000. The energy leaving you is a confirmation number. You go on American Airlines and, or I use Expedia from time to time, Devin. I'll go there and they give me a confirmation number that lets me know that, yo, this is your flight. When the energy leaves you, that is the universe's way of letting you know it's done. It's a done deal. If you still have a desire for it after the imagination, then you have not done the work. You got to go back in and you have to do the work. And then lastly, in the 5D, if you're at, let's say, for example, you're at $50,000 and you want the $250,000, you have to increase your consciousness. And the way that you're going to do that is you're going to meditate. You're going to go into the meditation. Listen, if you can stay there for 15, 20 minutes, a lot of times people say, Ken, what kind of meditation do you do? I don't know why I changed my voice like that, because I guess it sounds like that when people ask me those questions. But the meditation that I use is TM. Transcendental meditation. So
yeah, I think meditation has a lot to do with emotions as well, right? And how you process those emotions. So can you touch on a little bit how emotional blocks affect you and how it might affect manifestation as a whole?
Absolutely. The universe is going to give me the path of least resistance to that $250,000. The easy way is always going to be in alignment with your gift. So if Jay-Z wanted to manifest $250,000, the easiest way to do that is probably going to be rap, right? If Beyonce wanted to manifest $250,000, the easiest way to do that is probably going to be singing. If Ken wanted to manifest $250,000, the easiest way to do that is probably going to be teaching. So my question for you is, what is your gift? Now, if you're on your way and you're on this path to $250,000 and you have emotional blocks, let me back up a little bit. There's three parts of you. You have your mental you, you have your emotional you have your physical you. It would make sense that right now, if I ride my little scooter outside and I break my leg, that's going to affect me emotionally and it's going to affect me mentally, even though it started with a physical shit that happened, right? So it's the same exact thing with your emotions. Some of you, you have this emotional you, and you keep ignoring the emotional you. And as the emotions, your emotional you is telling you, I don't care how much money you want. I don't care what it is that you want in life. You continue to ignore me. And because you continue to ignore me, I am going to completely sabotage everything that you're doing. So some of you, you're on this path to 250 and you're like, man, I've been doing this manifestation thing. I've listened to everybody. I've read all of the books, but you have pent up emotion that's on the inside. First, let me explain to you what it is, and then I'll explain to you how to fix it. This is the way that every single person gets sick from the inside. A circumstance happens in your life. That circumstance comes with some type of trauma. Maybe you got touched as a kid. Maybe you were raped. Maybe you saw your parents get hurt. Maybe your parents actually beat you or whatever. Maybe you had a death in the family. There was some type of circumstance that happened in your life that brought with it a level of trauma. When that circumstance happened, it then brought behind it some emotions. As adults, we are supposed to release that emotion. But you didn't release that emotion. You held on to that emotion. That emotion ends up going, that emotion, which is energy, ends up going to some place in your body. It might go to your chest. It might go to your stomach. It might go to your back. It might go to your skull, but it goes someplace in your body. If you do not then release that energy or release that emotion, then what ends up happening is that emotion turns into a dis-ease. You might just all of a sudden start having headaches, or you might be having sex and your breast hurts and you don't understand why. You might have something in your stomach whenever you're driving, you might have an ulcer. That dis-ease is just to let you know, like, yo, I'm here and I need for you to release me. It's the emotion's way of letting you know that I need you to release me. If you then don't do it, that dis-ease becomes a disease. And then what you end up doing is you end up going to the hospital and then the doctor says you have cancer. And now that dis-ease is compounded even more because now you have stress, you have worry. And what ends up happening is that emotion gets bigger, that energy gets bigger, and it ends up taking you out. Here's an easy fix for that. And when I tell you this, I'm telling you things that I've done. I've healed myself of cancer. I've healed myself of COVID. I've healed myself of kidney issues, all these things that I've done. For those of you that's like, what do you mean you healed yourself? You mean God healed you? God already did his part, meaning his vibration and health is already there. It's my responsibility to go up to where he is. And one of the things I want to share with you guys is this. Like some of you, you're here and you're thinking that God is going to come down here and heal you. And it's not happening. The first thing to understand is that your healing is already done. Health is your natural state, right? So what you're doing, it's not so much of what is it that I need to do to get healthy? What is it that I need to do to stop health from coming into my life, if that's a thing? So getting back to Devin's question that he asked me 3 minutes ago, when you're purposely releasing emotions, and this is one of the first things that I take every single VIP member to. Every single VIP member that joins my group, I always take them through purposely releasing emotions. If you say, Ken, I don't know if I need to purposely release emotions. What you're going to do is ask yourself this question. If I was to think about something, or let me ask you this way, what is it that if you thought about it long enough, it would make you emotional? What is it that if you thought about it long enough, it would make you emotional? For some of you, it's like, oh, don't talk to me about my kids. Those are my kids. You can't say nothing about my kids. Don't say nothing to me about my mama. That would make me emotional. When XYZ happened when I was 6 years old, or when this happened when I was 8 years old, what is that thing that if you thought about it long enough for more than 68 seconds, it would make you emotional? And if you have that thing there that will make you emotional, I would implore you to please make sure that you just find out more about our program, find out more about our VIP program, because the first thing that you're going to do there is purposely release that emotion. That way you're good from the inside out and you're on your way to purposely manifesting the $250,000.
I like that. So what would you say to those people who have, maybe they've been trying that, right? Is it an emotional block or is it something else? But what do you say to those people who say, I've been trying this manifestation for years and haven't seen the results or haven't been able to achieve it?
If you've been doing this for a while and you've been on this manifestation journey and you're like, Ken, I've done that. I've done the shadow work. I've purposely released emotions. I've done all of those things. I want you to keep in mind this. The part of you that is attracting things to you, it's said that you are electromagnetic, right? A lot of times you'll go into the 4D, you go into your imagination, and you got the thoughts thing down. You know how to think of the thing that you want as if you already have it. The issue that you have is that you're not adding an elevated emotion. Elevated emotions. Neville Goddard once said that the feeling is the secret. So increase your emotions. Ken, what do you mean by elevated emotions? You need emotions of joy, emotions of love, emotions of gratitude. Oh, gratitude is an easy one. Emotions of gratitude, emotions of worthiness. Like have that elevated emotions and then bring the thoughts up. Here's a little secret that I have for you. In the book Think and Grow Rich, chapter 13, Napoleon Hill talks about the transmutation of sexual energy. And this is going to probably be in my next podcast, so I won't go into it right now, but I will tell you this. If you, first of all, read that book in chapter 11, so you'll know that I'm not just coming up with anything. Sexual energy is the strongest emotion known to man. We can actually create another human with that, right? So here's a little secret. Imagine yourself having sex, either future or a past sexual experience that you've had. Doesn't matter which one. Imagine this thing as if it is there. I mean, like you're doing it right now. It's in your imagination. Whenever you get to the point when you are about to climax, do not immediately then start thinking of the thing that you want. So if it's $250,000, imagine yourself giving away $25,000. Imagine yourself with the car. Imagine yourself with the house. Imagine yourself right at that moment. And when what you're going to do is you're going to build that up, build that up, build that. You never release. You never release. You never climax. You build that up, build that up, build that up, and then you let that energy go. And that is the fastest way to. That's one of the fastest ways to manifest.
Interesting. Speaking of fastest ways to manifest.
Oh, I thought you were going to say thinking of sex.
Oh, well, fastest ways to finish. Whatever you got to say. One of the things we've been talking a lot about right now is money, right? $250,000 specifically. What do you think is the fastest way to manifest money?
Oh, good. So the fastest way to manifest money is this. And keep in mind, the name of this podcast is Manifest in 3D, 4D, 5D. One of the things that I see people do all the time when they want to manifest money, they start thinking about money with elevated emotion. The problem with that is money is man-made. God didn't make money, man made money. So whenever you start manifesting money, the issue with that is that you're putting limits on God. So you're using the spirit part of you, and then you're telling a spiritual God, the only way that this thing that I want can come to me is going to be money. So there's four steps that you could actually manifest money. Number one is you can imagine the actual money. You can imagine seeing it in your bank account. If you think about the Grabavoy numbers or 369 method, that's like beginner shit. We're not doing that. Step number two is going to be you could manifest the thing that you're going to spend the money on. So you can manifest a house. You can imagine manifesting the car. You can imagine the clothes. You can imagine all of those things. The problem with that is whenever you're manifesting a house, it comes with 11 new manifestations that's called bills. So don't do that. Not that you can't. It's easy to manifest a house and a car, but we're going to go up even a step further or a step above that. The next step that we're going to do is we can imagine going on vacation. Like everybody loves to travel. Even me being in Florida right now, me, Devin, Vic, if we was like, yo, my dude, we going to Vegas. Like, I guarantee you right now, if we could actually shoot this shit in Vegas tomorrow, we would be out. And I'm sure we could, but I would have to pay Vic a lot of money, and I don't want to do that. So you can imagine the vacation, and that is an amazing way. Now, whenever you're imagining manifesting money using the vacation, be very specific. Like, go do your research. How much is the hotel? How much is the trip? And don't put any limits on it at all. But the way that I manifest is this. Think about this. What do billionaires do, Devin, whenever they die, what do they do with their money?
They generally give it away.
Exactly. So what you're going to do is you're going to give the money away in your imagination. So here's my question to you. What's something right now that if you gave money to this organization or these people, if you did this thing, like it would make you emotional? Like you would get to the point where you're about to cry because it means so much. For me, Habitat for Humanity. My mother had a Habitat for Humanity house. I cannot wait for the day that my team can go and volunteer and give back to Habitat for Humanity. We grew up poor, so there was times where, not really poor, we grew up just poor enough to like not have what we needed in a neighborhood of people that had more than we did. But what you're going to do, imagine, let's say, for example, Thanksgiving. You're giving away turkeys. You're giving away dinners. Imagine yourself, for those of you that watch That Is Epic, right? Imagine yourself going to a grocery store, jumping in line and paying for somebody's groceries. Imagine yourself walking up to a stranger and saying, hey, do you have Cash App? Do you have Venmo? And they are like, yes. And then you get that Cash App and just send them that money. If you're manifesting $250,000, imagine yourself giving away that 10% of that. Imagine yourself giving away 10% of that to some organization, whatever that means to you. Now, here's the deal. Because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the truth and a lie. What you want to do is whenever you get that money, whenever you get the $25,000, spend the money on the thing that you said that you were going to spend it in, because you're in a relationship with money. And if you don't keep your word with money, then it's going to be, and that's a totally different, that's another podcast right there.
Yeah, it's a whole episode, yeah.
Yeah, so let's keep that one in mind. So so make sure that you are keeping your word with money, because money has a consciousness. Get the $25,000, give it to whoever and whatever you said that you were going to give it to. In that way, that'll be the quickest way for you to manifest money. Give it away in your imagination.
All right. So you're able to achieve all of those things. You're able to do all of this. We talked a little bit about emotional blocks earlier, but what do you think is the number one thing that keeps people from manifestation from happening? Is it not being worthy? What is it?
For those of you, if you actually go back and look at my TikTok, I have a TikTok that did pretty damn well. I forgot how many views, but I was in a live, if I'm not mistaken, or I was on a Zoom. Either way, I think I was on a Zoom with my VIP people, and someone was talking to me, and she was like, listen, I've been trying to manifest, Ken. I give back to people all the time. I give money, I volunteer my time, but that money has not come back to me. Number one guaranteed reason why is that you don't feel worthy. You don't feel worthy. You have to be worthy of the thing that you're manifesting. You can't manifest a husband if you have a girlfriend mindset. You can't manifest health in a state of guilt. So if you believe that the reason why you're unhealthy is because something happened to you or something that you did, and you have this God that is trying to punish you for this thing that you did, how can you manifest health? You can't. You're in a terrible state. So what you need to do is you need to feel worthy. Now, here's the good part of this. This is not something that you're doing in the 3D, you guys. This is not like, I am worthy, I'm going to do this. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. Affirmations, which is the thing that you're saying out of your mouth, come from an inner belief. So as you have this belief on the inside, your mouth speaks this thing that you have in the heart. So go into your imagination and imagine being worthy. What does that look like? What does that sound like? What does that smell like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like? Feel that on the inside. And then automatically, without you having to, I'm so happy and grateful, I am worthy, I am this, that shit doesn't work. As you get to that state and as you begin to change that on the inside, that worthiness on the 4D will end up lining up on the 3D, because the 3D is just a mirror of the 4D.
I think you also have to have a little bit of, self-worth to really find out what your desire is out of all of this. So the desire in all of this, and this is a quote that I have here, the desire is proof that the manifestation is on its way.
Let's say, for example, you want this $250,000 and now you have this desire. What a lot of people do is you stay in this state of wanting. You cannot stay in the state of wanting, because then the law of attraction is just going to bring more things to you for you to want. So you'll just want more and want more and want more and want more. You can't hope, because then you're just hoping more and hope, and you get more hope and more hope and more hope. The desire, I want you to understand this. The desire is the universe's way of letting you know this is the next experience that's about to come into your life. This thing is coming into your life. You can be happy about it. You can be thankful for it. You can't mess it up, because now that you know how to go into the 4D and do that thing, the desire is just letting you know this is the next thing. It's almost like a menu. You go to the restaurant, you see a menu, you got the appetizer. Whenever they have the entrees, you don't look at the entrees and be like, oh, I want more entrees. No, you pick out your appetizer. You look at the menu, you know the entree is coming up next, you know the dessert is coming up then after that, and that's the exact way that it works with desires.
So I think one of the things that people might feel, and they feel like manifestation isn't working for them, we talked a lot about blocks this episode, fear, right? How do you get over fear when it comes to manifestation?
Cool. If you have a problem with fear, it's in the 3D. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to stop pushing against it, right? There was one time I was doing this live and my chest started getting really tight. Like I literally felt like I'm going to pass out and die on live. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, enemy, go ahead. Fucking kill me. Do whatever it is that you need to do. But I'm going to have this live and I'm going to speak everything, and I'm going to speak it from the heart, because I know that somewhere right now there's somebody that has issues with health. There's somebody that has issue with money. There's somebody that has issue with relationship. So the first thing that you do with fear is stop pushing against it. If you really want to go to the next level, just be thankful for it. Just be thankful for the fear. If you really want to go to the next level, sit with the fear. Like literally just sit there with the fear. Don't judge it. Don't do any of those things. Just sit there with the fear and let it do whatever it is that it wants to do. And then once it's finished doing whatever it is that it wants to do, a lot of times that fear or that pain will lead you to some type of awareness about yourself that you need to know about. Once you do that, then you're going to go into the 4D and you're going to imagine what life would look like past the fear. So I used to have a huge fear of speaking in front of people. I have this fear of public speaking, and I'm like, oh shit, like everybody's watching me. And I was signing up for this program, and the guy's name is Thomas Tadlock. Thomas, absolutely amazing dude. I caught him in the hallway, and I'm like, yo, my dude, you talked about this program, but I have fear of public speaking. And he's like, don't worry about it. You'll get over that in one day. And he walked it off. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? You're not going to explain that more? Like, we got to go into that, right? So he just walks off. Fast forward 2 months later, I'm in this program. It's called Train the Trainer with New Peak Potentials. Shout out to them. They changed my life. T. Harvecker, I love you. Robert Riopel, if you're watching this, I love you. I made it. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't. I did, really. So I'm there, and so I'm there, and I have to get on stage, and I have to sing Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. I have on a wig, I have on a white surgical glove, and I'm holding a mirror. And I'm singing Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, in front of 300 screaming people. So then people were like, Ken, how is it that you can actually talk on camera, and there's this camera, and there's this mic, and there's this guy over there that's weird, and Vic is in the back chewing gum, and he's weird, really weird. Like, how is it that you can do this? And it's because nothing can be worse than me actually standing on stage with a wig on singing Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. Ken, what does that have to do with fear? Face your fear head on. Face your fear head on, but not in the 3D. Not in the 3D. Do it in your imagination. Face your fear in your imagination. If you have a fear of flying, go into your imagination and see yourself flying. If you have a fear of success, go into your imagination, put on a freaking $1,000, $10,000 outfit and do your thing in your imagination. And the thing that you do in the 4D has to show up in the 3D. It's law.
What would you say is the secret to manifesting as a whole?
So here's the secret to manifesting as a whole. And I won't go into a thing, but I'll tell you this. Look, you're dead in the camera and tell you this. You are the manifestation of the thing that you want. You are the manifestation of the thing that you want. Ken, what the hell does that mean? whenever you're asking for something, there is a separation between you and the manifestation. I want $250,000. I want a husband. I want a car. I want a wife. And that you have this separation. There is no separation. You have God that is living through you, and he's living life as you. So there is no separation. Give yourself permission to have the thing that you want. Give yourself permission by being worthy. Give yourself permission by enjoying that thing in the 4D, and the thing that you want must come into your life. It is law.
Is there anything you might want to leave the listeners with?
Whenever you wake up in the morning, you have 9 minutes. You have 9 minutes. And for all of you Joe Dispenza fans, you have 9 minutes as soon as you wake up in the morning, you're in a state that's called theta. So that groggy state that you're in a state that's called theta. Your brain is going to do one of two things. If you do not give your brain a future event, the future version of you, a future identity, it's going to automatically say, oh, okay, Vic wants to live life as the past him. So in that day, you're going to experience everything that you experienced in the past. So if you were a victim yesterday, then today is going to be a victim, and the next day is going to be a victim, and the next day is going to be a victim. If you really want to change your life, imagine yourself in that first 9 minutes. Don't do anything. My son, I'm freaking coaching my son, and he's like, Dad, but what about me going to the bathroom? I don't want you to do nothing. In the first 9 minutes, if the house is on fire, ignore it. If you need to pee, ignore it. You have kids, ignore it. You have a husband, ignore it. You have a wife, ignore it. If somebody wakes you up and it messes up your first 9 minutes, then go back to sleep and get back into this first 9 minutes. It's that important. Imagine the very best version of you. Imagine a very best version of you, the future version of you. So for me, that future version, for whatever reason, I'm at freaking Yankee Stadium, and there's a crowd of thousands of people, and I'm teaching them about manifestation, right? Why Yankee Stadium? I have no idea. I'm not really a Yankees fan, but I can see it, and it's vivid, and it's there. And every single morning I go there. And if you do that, for that day, now your brain says, I'm going to bring this version of Ken. For those of you that say, what's the scientific part behind this? RAS, Reticular Activating System. Go look it up. RAS. Your brain will then go and find things and circumstances. This right here, this podcast right here is because of that. Because the day that I woke up, I went into the future version of me, and then all of these things happened for me to start coming and doing this amazing podcast. So 9 minutes, go to the future version of you, do that 30 days straight. You'll look back at your life and you won't be able to recognize who you are. My name is Ken Morgan. This is Manifested in 3D, 4D, 5D. I will see you guys on the other side. With much love. I love you.